Thanks for tuning in. I'm Bobby Krogan with OPX. I'm an interior designer who works with organizations trying to move forward on helping those companies work better, whether it's spatially, tools related, or in the organization of people. So as we've all noticed while working from home and seeing a little bit more of people's personal lives, we've been throwing around the word empathy quite a bit. We see what others are going through, and we've become a little more in tune with each other, more transparent. And out of this, we can think of practicing the term of courageous authenticity through leadership. And so I wanted to talk to Nancy Belmont today. Say hi.
Hello.
About courageous authenticity and its relevance at point. And just give you some information on Nancy. I've known her for quite some time, starting in Alexandria, Virginia. So she promotes flourishing by making the tools of leadership and consciousness accessible to people. So she's a leadership coach, she's a public artist, a facilitator, identity expert, and wellness enthusiast. She's done public art projects that have spread globally, prompting thousands of people to live with more courage, unity, and intention. She's been in Washington Post, on the Today Show, in Forbes, so she's got quite a background. She's earned her certificate in leadership coaching in Georgetown in 2013, and now she's the CEO of Vessence, where she helps individuals, teams, and organizations find their essence and give it their voice. So thank you for coming on, talking with me today.
Bobby, thanks for having me. It's so great to connect with you again.
And I love your background. I love the color. It's very positive and warm, and something we all can use right now. So in your experience, give me a quick description of what courageous authenticity is, if you could.
Yeah, so the term itself comes from something called the Leadership Circle, which is a 360 assessment. And it's one of the 18 competencies of effective leadership. Mm-hmm. And the term is really about, taking tough stands, being vulnerable, saying what needs to be said, even if it's not going to be popular. Right. And so it's really bringing our whole selves into the conversation as a leader, letting people see the stuff that isn't, as refined, and being bold. It's all of that. It's vulnerability and boldness all mushed together.
It's a little bit more of a personal view that we haven't had until now, too. I mean, it's always been there, but now we're seeing each other's homes, so it's risen a little bit higher on the leadership scale of terminology and how to lead people. So, how is it more relative now? I mean, obviously, as you're seeing, the personal lives of your employees a little bit more, now we're seeing companies kind of striking out a little bit, trying to be a little more bold, trying new things in this time. So how is it more relative now to organizations in a certain pandemic and uprising and social issues?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're living kind of in a culture of fear, right? I mean, there's a lot of fear around, there's a lot going on, and organizations sometimes have a culture of fear. Even when they think, hey, we're open, we like new ideas, a lot of times new ideas are pushed down and rejected. And I think right now what's happening is none of us have ever lived in a world like this. And so we need the best of everyone's ideas in order to move forward and really figure out what the way forward is. Right. So the more that we can craft a safe environment for people to come forward and hold space for them to say, hey, I've got a crazy idea. Maybe it's not going to work, but maybe that's the thing that's going to propel us forward and get us to flourish. I mean, that's what kind of, that's what we need to do as leaders is create that space for people.
Yeah, it's a whole, succeeding, you have to fail a whole bunch of times, right? I mean, we have to accept that. Leaders have to accept that in order to move forward and try something new to move the organization, I guess, and its employees forward, right? I mean,
yeah. And I see so many people, especially high achieving people, who are afraid to fail. And they're afraid to admit they don't know. And they're afraid to ask for help because they think that that's going to reflect poorly on them. But if we can say, no, we absolutely, nobody knows everything. How can we get this dialogue going where we have the best of ourselves and the best of all of our ideas? And then we have this really rigorous debate to figure out like which ideas are the best.
Right.
That is what we need right now.
Yeah, I think that's particularly true. I mean, yes, all to the yes. So, we're talking about leadership and that approach, but how do employees of an organization benefit from that kind of leadership? I assume, in this kind of leadership, they're connecting a little bit more personally onto their employees. They're getting a little more involved in the employees a little more. Would that, is that kind of a direct action from that, or?
I don't know. I think in some ways, yes, in some ways, no. We're not there to just run into each other at the water cooler anymore. We can't organize a happy hour and hang out with the boss. And so we have to be really intentional about our connections. And so while we might see our kids running through the background and hear the dog barking, I mean, that's one side that we just haven't seen of each other. But we don't have those casual encounters that allow for so much humanity and relationships. And so I think where employees benefit from this type of approach is that everybody wants to be seen. We want to be seen, we want to be valued. And when we're invited in to share what our ideas are and what our feelings are and what our fears are and what we're scared of, that it creates kind of that water cooler space where
Right. I would assume that it helps, the employees trust their leadership even more, because when a lot of companies have a lot of trust issues, the leadership may not interact with employees, they may not know what's going on in their own companies, but I think now, when you said you were kind of reaching out a little bit more to employees, more personalized, a little more, you become interested in one another a little bit more. You create more empathy towards each other. So I think that's kind of
we don't know. Leaders don't know what they're doing these days either. What they're doing, right? It's all new for everybody. And so the more leaders can be vulnerable and say, listen, this is what I know right now. I don't know everything. Everything might change in a week. That builds trust between employees and leaders. If we say, hey, I know we're going to go strong through the end of 2020, who knows? We don't know what's going to happen in months. And so giving as much information as we can and being okay with saying, I don't know everything is going to build trust.
Right. Okay. No, that's great advice. And I know you, just a little plug, I know you offer workshops and other things to help leadership with this. And I guess, I just want to thank you real quick for this dialogue. Like I said, I've known you for quite a while, and I went to you when I was thinking of this topic. What's next on your list? I mean, if you look at your website, you've done all these great We Live Big projects, this Courageous project, the We're Courageous Wall project, all these things that help motivate and encourage people be happy with themselves and encourage. What's your next thing?
Bobby, I've got 3 things that are happening simultaneously. I've got a children's book. Well, it's an all ages picture book that is helping people recognize their light inside of them and helping it to shine. I am just forming a kind of an expansive leader program that's going to be an online dialogue between leaders in lots of different organizations, and I'm putting together a pilot for that. And then third, just on my walk today this morning, I had a little creative hit for a new project. So just started playing around with that today. And so I'm hoping that I could bring something here in the next month or so to Delray.
All right. Well, cool. If you don't know Delray either, it's a great little town in Alexandria. Small little portion, but great. Lots of great people. So thank you, Nancy, for letting me talk to you a little bit today.
Thank you.
You have lots of projects going on. You're very engaged and motivated. So thank you again. And I'll put some contact information about you following the video. Thanks.
Thank you.